Hello everybody, it's Ann from Superstitch. We've had some requests for some machine instructions, so we're going to start with some basic function keys for you, explaining how they work. We appreciate your requests for future videos, and don't forget we're having our race to 10,000 subscribers, so we're giving away a Janome 5300 and a nice Notions package. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on any one of the videos and enter a comment, and that's where you could add your request, and make sure you click on the link to enter your email address so we can notify the winner. So today I'm going to discuss the basic function keys that every Janome computerized machine has. So this is going to function the same on all of the computerized machines. You might find them in a little different positions, but they're all going to be function the same. I'm working on the Janome Skyline S6 today. I'm going to start with the start-stop key and work my way up here. Now, to use the start-stop key for your power, be sure to unplug your foot control, because the power is either the foot control or the start-stop key. Now, the start-stop key works two different ways. I'm going to have my speed control all the way down, and I'm just going to turn it on. So it's going to just start running. So that's how slowly you can sew, and then I'll gradually take this all the way up and then just hit stop. So it's going to start at whatever speed I have it set at. You can also use it as a slow start stop, and the way that works, I've got my speed all the way up, but now I'm going to hold down the start key. So even though it's at high speed, it's going to start off slow. Then I let go, it'll take off, and as I approach the end, I can hold it and it'll slow down. When I release it, it'll stop. So two ways to use your start-stop key. If you need to ease in and ease out, you can hold it down at the beginning and then hold it down at the end. Next, we're going to talk about the reverse key. The reverse key actually functions three different ways depending on what you're doing. Right now, I'm just in a plain straight stitch. So as I'm sewing, as I hold it down, it'll reverse. When I release it, it'll go forward again. Now, if you have a machine from the S6 and up, you also have what's called a continuous reverse. And that's going to be, if you see it's number 16 on the S6, when you have a straight stitch that has this arrow next to it, that's your continuous reverse. So when I'm using that, I'm going to select pattern 16 in mode 1. So now when I hit start or step on the foot control, it's going to sew backwards. So now when I hold the reverse key, it'll go forward, backward, forward when I hold the reverse key. And the continuous reverse is a great feature if you need to like sew on a patch or something. You could go forward, and instead of having to wrestle and turn the whole thing around, you can just simply sew backward up the other side of your pocket or applique or whatever you need to stitch down. The reverse key also works as a function key when you've got certain stitches where the reverse key is going to complete the function. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the patented needle plate when I'm going to show this next technique. So right here on the needle plate we have 1/4 inch from center, 3/8 from center, and 5/8 from center. Then we have, this is 5/8 of an inch behind the needle, this is 3/8 of an inch behind the needle, 1/4 inch behind the needle. This is 1/4 inch in front of the needle, 3/8 in front, and this line here is 5/8 of an inch in front. So if I wanted to do a 5/8 inch seam all the way around, say I'm coming around a corner of a pillow or something, I can line up the edge of my fabric here to give me that 5/8. I'm going to start with my edge of my fabric at this 5/8. That's going to start me in 5/8 of an inch from the end, and I'm going to do a 5/8 inch seam. When the end of my fabric reaches this line, I'm going to touch my reverse key, and that's going to be 5/8 of an inch from the end. So I'm doing an automatic back stitch, and I'm using the reverse key to complete the function. So when I start, it's going to automatically start with a back stitch. I don't do anything, just let the machine start with a back stitch. When I get to this 5/8 of an inch mark, I'm going to touch the reverse key. You don't hold it down, you're just going to touch it. So we're going to line this up. And I'm going to use my foot control this time. You can use start, stop, or foot control. So I'm going to start with a 5/8 inch seam. I'm starting with my edge of my fabric at the 5/8 inch behind the needle. I'm going to start sewing. It automatically does a back stitch. I don't have to do anything. So right here, this is going to get to this line here, and I'm just going to touch the reverse key. It does a back stitch automatically, and it stops down. If you've got the, from the S7 and up, if you've got your auto pivot function, the needle would stop down, the foot would also lift. I simply pivot, and I'm ready to continue a 5/8 inch seam. And also to the other end. So I've just done a perfectly reinforced corner 5/8 of an inch from the end. So you can use this cornering feature for 1/4 inch, for doing your bindings, 3/8, whatever it is you need to do. But in this case, touching the reverse key completed the function. The other stitches that the reverse key will complete the function will be the locking stitch, which is functions the same way, but it begins and ends with a locking stitch instead of a back stitch. You also have a bar tack. The machine will actually start sewing backward. You sew the length you need to do. Simply touch the reverse key and let the machine complete the back stitch or the bar tack. And we also have a darning stitch. This is going to sew 16 rows of stitches next to each other. Again, you're going to start sewing backward. You sew the length you need to do, touch the reverse key, and let the machine complete 16 rows of stitches. So in those cases, just touch the reverse key to complete the function. So if I'm doing a decorative stitch and I need to stop at a certain point, whether it's a pocket or a placket or something that you don't want to sew into, you need to just touch the reverse key. It'll stop and lock as soon as you hit it. So now all the decorative stitches will start with a locking stitch. So I'm sewing along. When I get to where I need to stop, I'm simply going to touch the reverse key and it will stop and lock as soon as I hit it. Now you can also program your locking stitch or your cutter. So if I've got my cutter activated, now when I do this, it's going to lock off. It will also automatically cut the thread and raise the needle. So I was able to stop exactly where I needed to, whether the pattern was completed or not. So that's 3 functions for the reverse key. Just holding it down to reverse or to go forward in the continuous reverse, or touching it to complete a function, or touching it to end a decorative stitch immediately. Now we'll go to our auto lock key. What this is going to do is continue the pattern, find the end of the pattern, and then lock off. So now as I'm sewing, I can touch it at any point and it will find the end of the pattern and then lock off. So the auto lock key completes the pattern. The reverse key will stop and lock immediately. And the needle up down key is simply going to lower the needle and raise the needle. Instead of using your hand wheel, just drop the needle, raise the needle here. In some models, the needle stop position, whether the needle stops in the up or down position, will be determined in your set key. Some models, such as the Magnolia 7330, if you start with the needle down, it'll stop down. If you start with the needle up, it'll stop up. Other models the needle stop position is determined in the set key, but the needle up-down key itself simply raises and lowers the needle. And the thread cutter button, if your model has a thread cutter button, when you cut it, push it, it'll just automatically cut, or you can also program it to automatically cut as well once you've activated the auto lock key. So that's your basic function keys, and we'll continue with some more machine instructions, so be sure to let us know what you're looking for. Thanks.